Okay, it is Joel Olson coming at you with another variable rate update. Week of June 13th, 2023. We've been slacking this year, but just I got to get back to those weekly updates. So we know last week the Bank of Canada raised interest rates by only 0.25%. Logistical perspective, this means that your rate would go up or your payment would go up the same as it went up in January. On this particular issue, what's being said is that inflation and some indicators such as job growth are not slowing down. And so the feeling was that they would do something that would cause people to have an emotional reaction, as they did, where they would stop spending, feel like rates could go up, but that on the bottom line, their pocketbook would make little difference. That was the justification. They're being universally panned for that, the Bank of Canada. That it was a very irrational decision. I'm going to do more videos on that. If you go over to a channel I have, part of my channel, I have news you can't use. Watch it over the next couple of days. I'm going to dive into a few of the news articles that are coming out. And that's just going to give you some better indication and opinion on rate hikes going forward or things like that. But let's talk about what I'm really more interested on, what my advice would be. But also, you know what? Here's the thing. The vast majority of the time, people call me and go, should I lock in, take a fixed rate, or something like that? And look, let's call a spade a spade. It's easy for people to go, oh, if I would have locked in 2021, that would have been a better situation. I would have had a lower variable and I would not have the same fixed rate. And these are all reasonable arguments that have not yet been proven because you don't have a full 5-year term. Rates will go up as much as they go down. All that type of things are possible, even if they're not probable. But here is what is worrying me a lot. Everybody's asking about what can I do? Should I just lock in? And I need to lock in because, I can't afford it going higher. Here's the thing I want you to really, really understand really, really clearly. They're going to get you no matter what you do. You're not going to hide from you're not going to hide from a higher interest rate, whether you lock in or whether you take a variable. You aren't. If you got a fixed rate and you locked in for a time period, you're coming into an incoming train where interest rates are high and your payment's going to jump substantially. Like these are not things when the dust settles, you're not hiding from them. Interest rates, I think, still have potential to go down at some point. And, maybe that's, we thought a little while ago that could be the summertime, but, I think at this point, let's just throw all the advice out the window and say, I think interest rates are where they are for the foreseeable future. And I think no matter what, if you call and say, oh, well, what if I would have taken a fixed rate? Who cares? Because eventually you are going to come into this incoming train of where interest rates are, which is the, high 4s, 5s, and 6. So here's the thing I need you to really understand. A 5 and 6 interest rate is a normalized interest rate over the last 50 years. It's a normal interest rate. When you got your mortgage, we had to pretend, stress test you as if you could afford that payment. So when people call and say, oh, I can't afford these 5 and 6%, what am I going to do to hold it off? Unfortunately, and I know this is hard advice and contrary to what I kind of, I'm a little more optimistic. This is the payments you have to get used to. No matter if you have a fixed or a variable rate, no matter if you have a 1.7 that's got 2 years left, you have to get used to a normalized interest rate of 5 or 6%. If there is times down the road where this becomes the 3 and 4 percent, great. But 5 and 6% is what you now need to get used to. I realize this is contrary to a lot of what I said, but this is the reality we face at this point, is that we're not talking about 7 and 8% interest rates, but you must get used to 5 and 6% interest rates. And so you have to have a very sobering look at your finances. If the 5 and 6% interest rate is causing you financial distress, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through the options, what that looks like. Option 1, you must increase your income. Or option 2, you must decrease your expenses. Now I know there's a eye roll and all that things, but that is the first spot to start. The third thing is you have to deleverage. This is ultimately what the government's hoping you do: deleverage. And so if I have a $500,000 mortgage, I have to pay off 100 grand. If I pay off 100 grand, I owe less. It's more in line with what my income or expenses are. Those are the three options. So let's go a little farther. When I say increasing my income, you have to have a really sobering look over the next 12 months. If you think your income's going to increase, are you up for a promotion? Are you going to two-family income? And if that's not the case, you're going to struggle if that doesn't change unless you're willing to decrease your expenses. Now, a lot of people, when it comes to expenses, you may be on the horizon of lower expenses for whatever reason. Like maybe kids are leaving homes. Like, these are all things you have to look at. If 5 and 6% was the ongoing interest rate, what is on the horizon, either on increase on income or decrease on expenses, that's going to mean I can make that this is going to be okay with me. Okay, let's go a little bit farther here. If I don't have any way to increase my income or decrease my expenses, I have two options. First, I have to house hack. So if I have a 4-bedroom home, I got to take the rooms. Hey, I got 3 kids and I got the masonette room. I got to stack them into 2 rooms, and I got to rent that room out and make that extra money come in. I got to take on students, whatever it is. That's house hacking, and that's something that I can do for a 1 to 3 year time period to make, and then interest rates still could be 5-6%, but I have the less expensive home. Okay, so this is very important. Expenses. I have to look at reducing my expenses. And the first place that I might look at is looking at my debt load, car payments, credit line payments. What could I do to pay that off? And if I can't, refinancing could make sense. Interest rates on refinancing are going to be very similar to what you have right now. And so, you're going to need to, look at rolling that in so that betters your monthly cash flow, so you have something that is sustainable. Okay. And so these are realities. The answer, again, not locking into a fixed rate. That gives us a Band-Aid, and maybe that lowers the payment a little bit, but still, it doesn't matter. Either way, you're going to collide with these interest rates, whether you're on fixed and variable. Variable has a lot more to do with the flexibility of the payment, as we talk about over and over again on paying it out early. Okay, so if you're not willing to do those things, you have to look at downsizing your home. And so downsizing could mean I could take my mortgage and port it, not have a penalty, but downsizing, reducing that payment. And I think that is a real reality for some folks if you feel uncomfortable. Now, it's not a right or wrong answer. For some people, you're willing to do more. Maybe I'm willing to have a less disposable income to have the house that I have. It's not a right or wrong question, but that could be a real reality for you. The other thing is to deleverage. If you have money in savings, maybe I'm paying it down. If I have an inheritance coming, maybe I'm paying it down. I know for some people this would seem like outer space talk, but that is what a lot of folks are doing. They're taking their savings of $50,000, $60,000, throwing out on the mortgage. That will make, I don't think, some of these small amounts, 5, 10, like they will make a difference how much interest you pay out, but they won't make it better for you, payment wise. But 50, 100, like putting that on your mortgage, that could be a big deal. So if that's the case, that's what you have to think about doing. So anyway, I know this is not the perfect video, and I'm not saying I love interest rates going on. I'm not saying that I want to be doom and gloom, but people need to think a reality. These are things out of our control. These are things that we cannot control. What we're seeing right now is we're seeing the fixed rate. We're seeing very clearly the Bank of Canada is not following a script anymore. We're also seeing very clearly that we don't know what they're going to do. And, the markets don't know what to do. I would have said a long time ago that generally the leaking out of what the Bank of Canada do, we know what they're going to do, but we can see last week was a really good example of this. We can see that they are not sure what they're going to do. There's no better place than to look into the markets, the bond markets, and you can see that they're ping-ponging. And so yields are going up and down. And so this is a reflection of them being unsure of the Bank of Canada doing. It's not a reflection of them being sure of a particular strategy. And so this is where we find ourselves. So if you want to run some options, if you want to look at those things, please reach out. I am here to help you. And hey, look, I've said again, I'm in a variable rate situation. and on many mortgages, and I make similar situations, and I've done similar things. This is very important to be aware of. I've done similar things. If I, condense rooms in my house and rent rooms, absolutely. I'm not telling you one thing that I'm not necessarily doing or have done. Not one thing that I haven't done personally for my financial situation in response to mortgage rates changing. So anyway, that's a very, very update for today. Please take that advice. And don't just think about locking in, but think about how we're going to look at the big picture, interest rates higher for a long period of time. Hey, look, we've seen a lot of my videos where I've talked about interest rates could be going down, a result of the Silicon Valley crisis. And these are also things that, remain true. And I don't think we were wrong. And I don't think these are things that couldn't happen. But I think we need to switch gears and stop being so optimistic because of what we see the Bank of Canada now doing. And we need to switch gears and think about, okay, how am I going to manage this in the meantime? Now, if we're wrong and these, all of a sudden rates start tanking, I mean, you're going to be in a better spot. You're going to be feeling good about that too. So anyway, if I can help, let me know. If this video is helpful for anyone, would you do me a favor and share this video, subscribe to this channel? It really helps us out. And we'll talk to you soon.